As Squid Game gets ready to wrap things up with its third and final season in a few months, fans around the world are wondering what's next for the franchise. The show has become one of Netflix's most successful original series ever, causing merchandise to be made, video games, and even a reality TV show. But beyond the main storyline set in South Korea, there are many hints and rumors about international versions and spin-offs that'll expand the Squid Game universe way beyond what we've seen so far. And some are actually very realistic. So let's go over them. The international reach of the Squid Game. From the original series, we already know that the deadly competition takes place in South Korea, but several clues hint at this being just one location in a global network of similar games. During Season 1, the VIP characters who watch the games as entertainment make some revealing comments. One VIP mentions having traveled a long time to reach Seoul, while another states that the Korean games were good this year, implying they've been to and experienced similar events in other countries. These breadcrumbs have led fans to theorize that Squid Game operates in multiple nations, each with unique variations tailored to their local childhood games and cultural contexts. The Big Daddy frontman and his organization seem to be part of something much larger than just the Korean operation we've seen in the first two seasons. The Season 1 VIPs, while speaking English, represent various nationalities and backgrounds, suggesting that the games appeal to wealthy elites from around the world. Their comments about the Korean games being the best indicates they've attended other versions across the years, maybe in their home countries or other locations where the organization operates in the shadows. In the files labeled Squid Archives that police investigator Hwang Jun-ho discovers, there's evidence the games have been running since 1988. This long history, combined with the international backgrounds of the VIPs, strongly hints at the possibility of a global operation that has evolved over decades into something huge and secretive. The recruiter character, who engages potential players with the Debunking paper game, was elusive for years between seasons 1 and 2. This absence from Korea implies he may have been recruiting for games in other countries during that time period, or even be temporarily replaced with other recruiters to avoid detection while he worked elsewhere. Global versions. If Squid Game does actually operate internationally, what could these other versions look like? Based on the series' premise that the games are built around childhood activities familiar to the participants and their cultures, we can speculate how they might take place in different countries. A United States version of the games could feature iconic American childhood games like Red Light, Green Light, the actual American version also known as Statues, not the Korean game from Season 1, Hopscotch, Foursquare, Tag Hide and Seek, and maybe even rounds of Kickball or Capture the Flag. The final game could be something super American like Deadly Dodgeball instead of the Korean Squid Game. Locations for an American version might include places associated with financial desperation and gambling culture, hotspots such as Las Vegas or Atlantic City. The differences between the extreme wealth of these entertainment hubs and the financial struggles of many Americans would mirror the social commentary of the original series, but in a new cultural lens. European versions could incorporate games like What's the Time, Mr. Wolf, and variations of Tag and Hide and Seek specific to countries like France, Germany, or the UK. The social commentary here might focus on European economic issues, immigration problems, or the aftermath of austerity policies in the region. For other Asian countries, games would reflect local traditions. A Japanese version, for example, could include Kendama, Daruma Sanga Koronda, their version of Red Light, Green Light, and Hanetsuki. The recruiting methods can also vary by country, adapting to local culture, but maintaining the core approach of targeting those in desperate financial situations. What remains consistent would be the brutal and deadly stakes, as well as the social critique underlying the games, which is one of the biggest parts of the series. The Squid Game cinematic universe? Recently, an image was passed around online showing what appeared to be plans for an entire Squid Game cinematic universe, with multiple spin-offs scheduled through the coming years. These included titles like Squid Game USA, Squid Game World, Squid Game 1987, and Squid Game 28th. This impressive lineup of spin-off shows got fans excited about the expansion of the show's narratives, especially the historical Squid Game 1987, which would likely explore the early days of the competition forming. However, this turned out to be completely fake news. The image appears to be fan-created rather than an actual leak from Netflix, since nothing has been confirmed other than a project we'll mention soon. While these specific titles aren't officially in development, they do show the real fan interest in expanding the Squid Game universe far beyond the main series. And some of these concepts aren't that far-fetched at all, considering what we know about Netflix's approach to successful franchises, actual spin-off plans. Though the viral cinematic universe image was fake, there are some credible reports about future Squid Game spin-offs in development. Director Hwang Dong-hyuk has expressed interest in expanding the story beyond the main series. In an interview with The Hollywood Reporter, he mentioned that he's considering exploring what happened during the time gap between seasons 1 and 2. He specifically mentioned potential storylines following what the frontman and the recruiter were doing during this period, giving us more insight into the operations behind the games. The front daddy, revealed to be former police officer and game winner Hwang In-ho, has a mysterious and fascinating backstory that could easily be the center of a dedicated spin-off series. His transformation from participant in the games to cruel organizer and murderer represents one of the most intriguing character arcs in the series, and fans would love to see more of him. Similarly, the recruiter played by Gong Yoo is a super cool and beloved figure whose activities between seasons could reveal a lot about how the games operate on a practical level, and maybe even show recruitment happening in different countries. When it comes to official international versions, there are confirmed reports that Netflix is developing an American adaptation of Squid Game. According to leading industry sources, Netflix has asked acclaimed director David Fincher to produce and direct an American take take on the concept, which will be extremely unique and innovative. Now, the key here is that this American project is expected to be a spin-off rather than a direct remake of Season 1, featuring new characters and games while maintaining the core premise and themes of the original series. This would allow it to include distinctly American childhood games while exploring deep American social issues which the common people struggle with. Squid Game 1987 and other historical spin-offs. One of the most desired spin-off concepts, to the point of being the main fake leak, is the idea of Squid Game 1987. The files discovered in Season 1 show that the games have been running yearly since 1988, making a 1987 prequel possible as an origin story to how the Twisted Games were founded and first held. A historical spin-off could explore how the games were planned, even revealing the core members and their motivations way back before the 2020s. The late 1980s setting would place the game's origin during South Korea's transition to democracy after decades of authoritarian rule, a period of rapid economic development but also economic inequality across the country. This historical background would give the creators rich material for the series' social commentary and the perfect lead-up to the game's creation. The founders might be shown as disillusioned elites who created the games as a twisted response to the social changes happening around them, or maybe as a dark reflection of the competitive capitalism that was reshaping Korean society for the better. Reality and game adaptations. While fictional spin-offs remain just theories, Netflix has already begun expanding the franchise in other ways. Squid Game. The challenge is a reality competition series that adapts the games from the show into a real, though non-lethal obviously, competition. The show has been renewed for a second season and is currently casting for a potential third. Netflix has also released Squid Game Unleashed, a multiplayer mobile game inspired by the series. These adaptations to different formats show Netflix's commitment to building Squid Game into a long-term franchise beyond just the main series. The success of these releases might influence decisions about fictional spin-offs. If the reality competition and mobile game perform really well, Netflix may be more willing to greenlight expansions of the universe, especially set in the past. The future of the franchise. With Season 3 set to conclude the main story in June of 2025, the future of Squid Game lies in these potential spin-offs and adaptations. Director Hwang has indicated that he's open to returning to the universe if he can develop compelling new characters or stories, but his immediate focus is completing the main trilogy of seasons. Netflix's approach to other successful properties hints they'll pursue multiple avenues to capitalize on Squid Game's popularity whenever possible. The combination of reality competitions, games, and potential fictional spin-offs creates a very diverse set of content that can appeal to different parts of the audience. The international nature of the concept makes it well-suited for global expansion, which is why so many fans have theorized about it. By adapting the games to different cultural contexts, Netflix could create versions that resonate with specific regional audiences while maintaining the universal themes that made the original so compelling. For fans worried about diluting the impact of the original, it's worth noting that Hwang Dong-hyuk will remain involved with the franchise's expansion. His continued participation in projects shows that the spin-offs would maintain some connection to his original vision, even as they explore new territory and cultures. One thing we do know, however, is that not everything will go smoothly. The development of international versions will face significant challenges. The original series derived much of its power from its specific Korean context, including the childhood games, social issues, and cultural references. Translating this to other countries risks losing what made Squid Game special in the first place, that foreign element. Netflix's previous attempts at international versions have brought very mixed results. The Spanish series Money Heist, La Casa de Papel, received a Korean remake that was moderately successful, but didn't capture the same audience as the original. Creating spin-offs that feel authentic to their cultural context while maintaining the spirit of the original series requires a very delicate balance which is hard to pull off. For Squid Game America or any other international version to succeed, it would need to find its own voice rather than simply copying the Korean original with American games added on. Despite these challenges, the fundamental premise of Squid Game remains very universal and interesting. The combination of childhood nostalgia turned deadly, extreme economic inequality, and moral choices under pressure can resonate in virtually any country on Earth. With thoughtful adaptation to local contexts, international versions could capture the same magic that made the original a global phenomenon and take it to new locations and audiences. As we await the conclusion of Gi-hun's story in Season 3, the potential for a broader Squid Game universe continues, is making fans go crazy with anticipation. Whether through official spin-offs or games and reality TV, the deadly competition has firmly established itself as more than just a single story. It's become a lens through which we examine society, human nature, and the often brutal reality of life in a capitalist world. If you enjoyed the video, drop it a like, and if you want to see more Squid Game content and theories, click the video on screen now.